beautiful soul. The words stung. I've always told myself and the people around me to live like there is no tomorrow. I believe everyone should be able to truly live and not just exist in the world. Unfortunately enough, I wasn't doing that. Every day started to become the same routine on repeat, and it felt like I was getting lost in time. Between October and December of 2022, when I was going through one of the most challenging points in my life, I was reminded of how valuable life is and became my best self. Senior year was just starting, and I was excited for the months to come because I had looked forward to this for the last 4 years of my life. It was between fall and winter when the weather wasn't too cold or too hot. MEA break was starting, and we were camping at the Wimmer's house for our last camping trip of the year. It was Saturday morning, October 22nd, and I woke up at 8 a.m. because I couldn't fall back to sleep for ages. After trying to fall back to sleep, I eventually went on Snapchat and tapped through my friends' Snapchat stories. Their stories were full of them asking for prayers, but nobody was saying names. Without worrying myself too much, I texted my friend Lily because she was an early bird and I knew she would be awake. After asking her what was going on, she said the words to me, "He's gone, Kira." She told me he crashed and he didn't make it. I was still confused, and after she told me it was Caden who passed, time felt like it was moving in slow motion. I felt lost and it didn't feel real. My family went to an apple orchard that day and I didn't enjoy it. All I wanted to do was go home and sleep. I had so many questions that couldn't be answered and I couldn't comprehend his death. That night I watched the sunset and the sky was filled with purple, which was his favorite color. I stared at the sky and smiled no matter how odd I looked. Caden was known for his sweet spirit and his positive energy. He had no hate in his heart and was loved by every single person who knew him because he was the type of person to make sure everyone felt included. After MEA break, I went back to school. It felt weird. In the classes I usually saw him, passing by, he wasn't there. Our friends spent a lot of time together the days following his death. We reminisced about happy, funny, and sad memories with Caden, and we decorated his crash jeans with his favorite things. We sat there for hours talking to him like he was right next to us. Everyone was coping in their own way. He felt like the glue in our friend group, and we had no idea where to go next, but this was just a bump in the road to being at my best. A month later, everyone was still grieving Caden. It was slowly getting easier and better with each day. It was Christmas time, which was my favorite time of the year. I felt happy. It was December 3rd, the day of my sister's baby shower, and the next day we had plans to bake Christmas cookies, which is my favorite tradition. Life was really good. I was enjoying school and spending time with my friends and working a lot. The next morning, December 4th, my mom came upstairs to wake me up. She never did that, so I was confused what was coming. She asked me if I had been on my phone at all since the night before, but I hadn't been. She told me Layla passed away last night. I didn't believe her. My heart felt like it was crushed and time was moving in slow motion again. We still baked Christmas cookies that day, which was a good way to distract myself, but I hadn't processed her death. Layla was one of my best friends. There wasn't a time we weren't talking. Conversations flowed for hours. I waited for her to text me or to see her passing by in the hallways. I waited to hear her yell my name from across the hallway, but I never did. Layla meant everything about life worth living. She made everything funnier and made me a better person. Everything felt quiet, and it hit like a bus when I finally comprehended the situation. In the weeks following, everyone was worried about me. I felt like every time I turned around, I was asked how I was doing or if I needed anything. I spent Christmas break at home by myself, and I ignored people for days. I never wanted to meet grief, but I don't think I'd ever been in such a low place in my life. I felt like I was taking life for granted and wasted so much time. I was the one telling everyone to live big, but I wasn't doing that. I've never been one to express myself to other people about the things I was feeling. And because of this, I felt like I was going through everything alone. I was a burden to my friends because they were grieving too. I pushed away my family, but all they were doing was trying to be supportive. I felt too young and too naive to be going through a hardship like this. School was getting harder, work was getting dreadful, and I wasn't myself. Life stayed like this for a couple of weeks. I didn't know how to cope, but soon the sadness I was feeling turned into anger. I continuously took my anger out on the people around me. I lost relationships with people I never would have imagined. My mom never made me talk about the emotions I was feeling, but on Christmas morning, when I wasn't doing my usual routine of waking up at the crack of dawn to make everyone drink coffee with me, she sat me down and said to me, "Sometimes you need to completely crash to the bottom in order to come back and be the best version of you. Life is so short and they want to see you living it to its full extent." My mom opened my eyes that day. The end of 2022 took so much from a lot of people. It took away a perspective of life I used to have and never gave it back. It was one of the darkest times of my life, but it also taught me a lot. I lost two of my best friends to tragic deaths, and I was shown how short life is. I was taught to treasure my life, and even if I continue to feel too young, unprepared, or naive for the world ahead of me, I somehow know that as I go through each day, life will continue to get better. As a result of being at my worst, I became the best version of myself, and I will continue living big for my best friends up in heaven for the rest of my life. I'm Kiara Kuno, and as soon as I stand here in front of you today, I am at my best.